Hello, Grandma Lois here. Thank you for joining me. So anyway, Philippians 4:13 reads, I can do all things through Christ, through him who strengthens me. That verse can be interpreted as a declaration of faith, it says, and confidence in God's ability to empower us to get through whatever we need to get through. And you never know what's going to happen next. You might buy an orange or tomato slicer that you wasted your whole quarter. So I look at the bright side. My mom always said, look on the good side, look on the bright side. Anyway, God's ability to empower us and help us through these things, to overcome challenges and persecutions through difficult circumstances. It is not a promise that one can achieve any and every desire. No, no way, Jose. But rather that God provides the strength to endure and accomplish what He calls one to do. And that's true. It's what He's doing with me. And I think He's doing it with some of y'all. Some of you know all about it, and some of you are still learning. I like to read the Bible and bring up the dates. Of course, I've read the Bible my whole life, and I cannot memorize anything. You know, when I was a dog groomer, and I was for a few years, I bought a poodle and found out they had to be groomed. Have you got your coffee? We're not in a hurry. James, it's Friday, and he's working today, and we went down to the thrift store. But anyway, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. So we went down there, and so we was looking around what we got. Of course, I got this for $1, and I got this for $1, and that's a 4 strand, and I think that looks real pretty. And then you know what I did? I looked on YouTube to find something that goes with my red flower, this in my little shirt, and my kitty cat, and that looks just like Big Tom. Do you feel the breeze? I feel the breeze because my fan is working. So I bought this little slicer. It's like a saw. And the lady that checks us out, she's there. She goes to that church, the Methodist church there, and they all volunteer and just put their time in to do good for the Lord. That's their ministry. There's a couple of three guys that work, and she works, and you pay her when you go out, and she takes care of all that. So I showed her, I said, what is this? What do you, she said, I got one of those. I said, well, what do you use it for? It's like a little saw. She said, well, I sliced my tomatoes with it. So I had a big old tomato and I cut it in two because it was so big, it wouldn't fit on that. So I cut it in two. And did I have a messy, mushy mess? So I took a knife and sliced the other half because I cut it in half and half. I'm going back to knives or else buy me a new one. I think that one's had its day. Some things I buy has had its day, but this shirt hasn't. I really like it. And the man was there. He was at the yard sale up in Clarksville we went to. And his wife had just tables of the beautiful shirts and stuff. And I said, well, how much are they? He answered and he said, well, I can't wear them, so I'm selling them for $1 a piece. He had a sense of humor. I said, that you do have a good sense of humor. And I heard him tell somebody else when the same thing, I can't wear them, so I'm just selling them $1 a piece. And I told him about he was only he only had up a sign and went on Facebook only for his sale. And I said, I'm a helper. I am a helper. And I said, are you on the internet with that? He said, yes, I went on Facebook and told about my sale. I said, well, there is some other sites you can go on YouTube. Billie Jean, who came to help me put a new picture of the hat when you open up my YouTube thing, that hat I bought for $2 and everything. Billie Jean says, you're walking in high cotton now. Look where we fixed you. But, oh yeah, where was I? So he said, I don't know any other. I get back to it sooner or later, sometimes, not always. Whatever happens, happens. So anyway, I told him and I pulled my phone out and I showed him some of these other places that he could advertise because this is Friday and they're going to be open Friday and Saturday. So I said, it'll help you tomorrow. And so he's getting it on. He said, thank you. And I said, you're welcome. I said, because I'm a helper. When I can help people. Not too long ago, I went to a yard sale, a couple of 3 weeks ago. And the lady and the man, she was selling her stuff and he was selling his. And her prices were reasonable. And I looked them all over and I bought something from her. I said, how comes the prices over there? You want $10 for something that I don't know if you can sell it for that? I says, to tell you the truth, I am an experienced yard selling woman. And I do know what will sell and what won't. And if you really want to sell it, you don't ask what you paid for it. You ask what you can get now in real cash. See, if you paid $10 for it, or $20 or 30, you can sell it from. If you pay 30, you might get $2. And heaven only knows what that girl paid for that hat that she wore to the Oaks that I got for $2 because they sell them in Louisville. They can go as high as $100 because what you can do over there in Louisville is you can go in and they've got feathers and hat frames and they'll make you exact. You can pick out. You can make your own up, and it's not like anybody else's because everybody's different. It's just like us girls on YouTube. And before I started talking to you this morning, I noticed that Kentucky Life with Debbie has a new video on. And as soon as I get here, I'm going to visit with her. And then I was visiting with Billie Jean, just me, Billie Jean. And that's Billie, not J, Jean, Billie Jean, just me, Billie Jean, capital letters. And he helped me fix it. You know what he did? I maybe told you already. Oh well, I get new people all the time. You never know. But he is very techy. And he fixed Granny Pat's thing too, because he's like a manager to help her, and she trusts him, and I trust him, and we've known him a long time now. And he lives down in Texas with his mama, who he takes care of. She's 92, and she's a year older than I am, and she just got out of the hospital, and he just got over COVID, but he's doing a lot better. And he was having heart palpitations, and we FaceTime each other, and he said, "I fixed Granny Pat's." And then I told her about it because he is a manager on her YouTube and he can move things. He says, so you want to look at it? I'm going to send it to you. So being as we was FaceTiming and I had my phone and my iPad, he sent it to me what he had done. I said, I like it. Do it. Okay, he said, here we go. So we worked at it and we got it done yesterday. But he said, I did Pat's and then showed it to her because, she says, you just do great. He does great for Granny Pat and now me. So he takes on us grandmas to help us because he's still young. But he was having heart palpitations and he was just leaving the doctor's office. So he sat in his car and talked to me, FaceTime, and helped me work that out. And then when he got home that night, I had messed it up because I thought, well, now if I am not that techie, but I also assigned him as well as 897 Andy, who is a manager. But Andy don't have time to do that kind of stuff, like fix my headlines and all that. He has shouted me out a lot of times. If you look at 967 Andy, you're going to find Grandma Lois because he stood up at our wedding and he's been a friend to James before I ever came along, and I bet came along about 20 years ago. Can you believe that? I can't hardly believe it. So, have you got your drinks? And I got mine, and it's cold. But I like cold coffee, so I don't drink it all at once. I just sip it and enjoy it as I go along. I do like that red house, and the way uh, I think that might be a Bible laying there, and then that looks like Big Tom, and the flowers isn't. Well, Billy Jean said he used to be a website designer and an artist because he designed a lot of things. I think he did show windows and stuff too, for like department stores and stuff. I don't know exactly. I've talked to him quite a bit, but I'm still learning stuff, which is interesting to learn about y'all when you tell me things on your comments. You let me know a little bit about you, and it's interesting. And Tom, who sent me Granny Pat's coffee cup and her books, which I enjoy so much. Thank you, Pat, for writing them. They are so good. Sometimes I just go back and read another one because you can get them at Amazon for about $15, and I don't know what that cup cost. It's a pencil holder for me. And she had to make a little comment the other day that she'd much rather drink out of a mug than a McDonald's coffee cup. I told her, well, there's benefits to drinking from a McDonald's coffee cup. It's lightweight and it's disposable. You can keep the lid on and it keeps your coffee warm longer than normal. And well, her big coffee pot makes a wonderful pencil holder because that's what Tom suggested because it's so heavy. And I like lightweight plastic stuff. My coffee cups that I drink out of here at the house, I ordered special off Amazon because they're lightweight and wonderful pencil holder. And I love it. It's very attractive sitting over there on my table with my pencils, my pens in it. So we just help each other and work together. But I tell you what, I got kind of concerned about my dear little friend's senior insights as she was about to have a nervous breakdown the other day. She said she don't really know what a nervous breakdown is, but she was getting concerned about a few things. She was making ice cream one day. I was watching her, and she waited 25 minutes, and when she checked it, it was soup. And then she let it run another 20 minutes. Y'all are check her out. She's bubbly and fun, and I like her. And I just watch a bunch of my friends. And Simply Debbie Sue, I watch her, and she just talks about everyday life and different things. Well, it's because we're all so different. And I've got that little girl out west. I watch her. She's young, but she's got it. I forget what her name is. Just check Kentucky Life with Debbie. She tells all about them. She's the one that tells me about them. Fact is, I have found some good ones through her because she sits around and trolls, I think, YouTube hunting for people that are interesting. And she found somebody in England that does all kinds of crafts and stuff. And I'm not interested in crafts anymore. So that didn't appeal to me. But you know what? I used to be very crafty. I made, I used to paint, and it was a hobby. And I just loved it. And I sold my paintings a lot, and I kept a lot of them because I just plain liked them. And then I made hair bows. When we were on the evangelistic field, we was down in Louisiana, and we went. The pastor's wife and her girlfriend took me downtown, and we went to a bakery to pick up some donuts. And let me tell you this, I went by. James took me by Walmart this morning. I needed some whipping cream for my coffee. Gotta have whipping cream for my coffee. So I run in to get it, and when I went in, they had cinnamon buns on the sale rack, like Walmart has. So I bought a box of them for like $2.30 or something, and usually runs like $4. I brought it home, and they weren't real big, but I know they're delicious. We used to own a donut shop, me and Buddy. We were partners, but for years, and I wouldn't eat donuts for a long time, but I got over it. You get over a lot of things as life goes on. You know that? You readjust. So I had one this morning when we got home. James went when I came out and got in the car because he parked in front of the Walmart and just waited on me because I was just picking up the whipping cream. And so when I went out, I said, "Look what I bought." And he said, "I believe I have one right now." I said, "No, you won't." I said, "They're sticky. You'll get them on your steering wheel and you'll be sorry." I said, "We'll be home in a little bit because we just live a few blocks from the Walmart." They built that Walmart for Grandma Lois, I do believe, because they were going to build it way out the road, about 4 miles, 3 miles. And I said, "That's too far to travel to the Walmart. I don't want to do that." My mom lived 3 miles, and they was making a mile out past her, but they had a big lot out there, and I was just talking to the Lord, and I said, "I really don't like that." And don't you know they canceled it? And then they said, "Well, going to move. We're going to build down there where the tobacco barn used to be. And you know what? The tobacco barn, we raised tobacco on the farm. That was our money crop. And they had a tobacco barn. Great big place. When you got your tobacco in and you get it, you have to hang it in the barn and let it dry. You cut it and you put it on big sticks. I can cut tobacco. I can make a hand of tobacco. You have to rip off them leaves. You hang it in the barn and let it hang for so long a time, upside down, up high in the attic, like they had an upstairs. And then you take it down and you put it in hands and different. You rip the leaves off and you wrap them, and then you can hold them right in your hand, a whole bunch, and they call that a hand. So we would dress it and we would take it right to that tobacco barn right down there. And Daddy would make about, I remember one time he made $3,000, and we didn't have a whole acre. See, the government would only let you plant so much tobacco, and they come and check you that you have done just exactly right. Working tobacco was not fun. They get worms on them, and you have to pick them worms off by hand, and they're fat. And we would sometimes throw them and splatter them, and then sometimes we put them in a can of kerosene or something and kill them deader than a monkey. You had to get rid of those worms off. They'd eat all the leaves up, and then you wouldn't have any nicotine. Daddy quit doing that after a few years. His conscience got after him, and he felt like it was the wrong thing to raise tobacco, which was so dangerous to people and cause cancer and stuff. Somehow or other, he found out about it and quit. Started raising strawberries. I got married and got out of there, so I didn't have to help with the strawberries. That's really hard. You're down on your knees, and you have to change them plants, Debbie, every year almost. You can't use the same plants 2 or 3 years at a time. You need to Google that, honey, and try strawberries again. You can do it. Well, it says in the Bible, just keep on trying, persevere. Oh my, I talk too fast, and then I got to take a deep breath and take off again. I laugh at myself because, like I say, I feel like traveling on. I like that song. It's a hymn that they sing at the church. It's in the songbook. My heavenly home is bright and fair. I feel like traveling on. So that night, Buddy asked me, he said, what song should we sing? And I said, you know, because he would lead the singing in these churches, though he was an evangelist. And somebody said, or I said, honey, let's sing this for church. I said, let's sing I Feel Like Traveling On. Can I request that? He said, no. He said, all these people are thinking we're going to want to leave here right now. He said, we don't feel like traveling on right now, honey. We are enjoying being here. I said, well, that's true. So he said, let's don't give them the idea that we can't wait to get out of here. So we didn't. But I still like that song, Feel Like Traveling On. And it really means that we feel like traveling on for Jesus and living for the Lord and doing the best we can. You know, I am not the brightest brick in the, but I made good grades in school. I did, not in arithmetic, but in everything else, I did real good. I mean, I can read a book and I know all about it, and I don't like to read a book twice. Now, my girls, the twins, they'll read a book and then 5 or 6 years later, they liked it so good they'll read it again. And I never did do that. Never did do it. But you know what I did just lately? I found a book I had read before, probably 10 years ago or something. And so I'm reading it again, and it's real interesting. So I understand that now. You can read a book again sometimes if you like it real good. And I liked that one. It was really good. And don't ask me what books I read. I read westerns a lot. And about Joe Pickett, you could probably look Joe Pickett up. And he was a ranger for the wilds out west years ago. And then they brought it right on up to date to where they drove cars and he had a couple of girls. And there's a series of his books, Joe Pickett, the ranger. And he looked out for the people that killed animals out of season and stuff like that. And lots of things happened. And they're always a mystery going on in it too. So it's always interesting to read those books. So I'm rereading one I read a few years ago, and I just remembered part of it this morning when I picked it up to catch up a little on it because I haven't had a chance. I'll tell you what, I did that video the other day, yesterday morning, and it ran around 29 minutes, as you well know, and I didn't. I was over at James's house, and I could, his Wi Fi was kooky. It would not, I mean, it was running my iPad and it was running the TV, but it would not download. So this morning I got up and I said, I guess I have to do that thing where you plug it out and then wait 30 seconds or a while and plug your, whatever that thing is, back in, your modem. You got to plug it back in. So I did that. It worked. I didn't think about that yesterday. See, you forget about that kind of stuff. But I plugged that modem in and then I waited 30 seconds and I plugged it back in, or I took it out and plugged it back in, and then it downloaded in about 30 minutes. So I got it on today, this morning, and this one I'm going to go ahead and put on today because I like to stay up to date. And this is July 18th, 2025. And so I'm up to date. And there I go. I don't remember what I was going to finish up. And I know that Granny Pat says that every so often. What was I talking about? Sometimes we remember, well, honey, we're not spring chickens anymore. And that's what I call it. So I think I'm about done. It's been fun. And I have had a good, just about time to tell you bye bye. And I'll talk to you later. This is about a chicken farm. And you know, it's kind of interesting to watch some of those ads. Look at all them eggs. Egg prices have come down in this area. Thank goodness. I wonder if I could flip that. I don't know. It don't really matter. Y'all are you are so sweet. You just put up with Grandma Lois, whatever she does. And I love you. So God bless you. Walk that path where Jesus would be pleased with you. And we're glad egg prices came down. Bye bye.